Here he is. There she is. Hi, guys. So, first thing I always like to start off with, is there any announcements, anything anybody needs to hear? Or anybody?
Did you get my email, Tom? My text, Tom?
Uh-oh. About, no, maybe not. If it came after your one about what time am I open and I didn't get it,
Okay.
what'd it be?
Well, if I could have about 5 minutes follow-up from last time.
Sure, do it.
Oh, that was cool. You raised your cup and the scene behind you was like a blue screen. Wow. Okay. Let me do this thing. Last time Ed had mentioned the Shorty box cars. And oops, where are we going here? Come on. There. And this is a project I started years ago and never finished up. These are some Shorty flat cars or barrel cars that I worked on. And you know, the side frames are the same, about the same as the bobber caboose there. And that's what they look up like close up. And I actually, they're no longer available, but these were the brass side frames.
Nice.
That I got from Keyport Car and Foundry. Unfortunately,
yeah.
Jerry passed away a number of years ago.
Right.
So on the left is one of those cars. On the right is a red ball. You remember their old Shorty flat cars that they made?
No.
No. Okay. Anyways, that's it. And
did you make your own sidewalls there?
yes, those are pieces of on this basically the whoops, come on, the
pocket.
Yeah, stake pockets are from Grant Line.
Right.
Basically, I just held them in a tweezer and filed them so they're half the thickness here. You can see the pointer.
Right.
And then one side is epoxy to, it's a piece, I had some old Roundhouse MDC Shorty flat car kits, and I took the decks off of those, used them, and those are sidewalls from the Shorty flat cars. And of course, the supports are just my old favorite pieces of styrene. But notice the difference in couplers here.
Right.
The coupler on the right is slightly smaller than the ones you use, Tom.
Alexander.
Alexander, yes. The one on the left is actually, I don't know if they're the precision scale version or the earlier Chemtron version.
They're tiny.
Okay. There, you can get them so that they work. However, it's takes a lot of work to get the drawbars and then little tiny pins to hold them together. So they're okay for unit trains, but not for operational.
Amen.
And there again, it was just, I did that so it's a little closer view. You can see the difference in size. The one on the left is actually what our Lincoln pin coupler pockets would look like if they were really more towards scale.
Yep.
Okay. And then this is some part of a car project that I got years ago at some train show. Someone had put a couple barrels on the frame, as I mentioned, of a Bachmann bobber caboose.
That's, oh wow, okay.
So, and based on what Ed said, I'm ready to cut this out here, and because I don't need the toolboxes under there.
Right.
And then just let everybody know what I've been doing. I've been working on these APAG, APAG, whatever you pronounce it, 24-foot box cars. And these are Philadelphia, Wilmington, Baltimore Railroad box cars.
Can you go back one?
Yeah.
I thought those were like illustrations from like Chris Gerlach's, you know, his virtual. that they almost look like drawings.
Oh, okay.
I'm like looking at that. I was like, son of a gun, man, that could be a freaking drawing.
This one, the one on the very left here, I did a number of years ago. And you can tell there's some differences, like this is the newer ones had 18-inch handbars, grab bars, and this is like a 12-inch. And then this is an 18-inch, whereas these grab bars are 24-inch. So
Now, these are based on your calculations from cars that appealed to you, because there
Yeah.
really wasn't. Yeah, got it.
yeah, that's it. And Thom had a friend who produced some decals for us, and that's what those are. Now these, you can get these boxcar bodies on Shapeways, they're from Bram. And they're actually based on a Philadelphia, Wilmington, and Baltimore Railroad prototype or car used on that red line. The color is actually the car body. They're described as an ivory body with a red wheels and a tan roof. So that roof is tan. The paint for the side is actually polyscale aged white. However, you can also get Vallejo ivory is a good match for that color. And I wanted a little more red on the cars than just the wheels. So that's where the other red came from.
Question.
DC, those look very much like the 1856 B&O boxcars.
They could, because I think it was Harlan and Hollingsworth here in Wilmington, Delaware. They were producing cars for all sorts of car companies. And of course, the Philadelphia, Wilmington, and Baltimore Railroad ran right through Wilmington. So,
in fact, the Harlan and Hollingsworth shops were right on that railroad, I think, weren't they?
probably, but I don't know that for sure. I do not know that for sure.
Question.
Yeah.
The brake beams, were they part of the truck?
Yes, those are actually from Eric Cox's trucks. And these are ones I got from him directly. So the material he uses is a little more flexible than the Shapeways. He doesn't have some of the detail in the underbody and everything, but
those are nice.
I know.
But they're great.
They are.
Thank you.
One thing I was noticing up on the roof, oftentimes you see a little bit of wood coming out to the side, so a person gets up, they don't over wear it out stepping, I assume. But if you got the brake wheel on the side, does this mean a brakeman has to be holding on to the side of the car while applying the brake wheel?
Yeah, now these end beams are a little bit wider than on a lot of cars. But yeah, that's unless he's laying down on the car and trying to turn on the roof and trying to turn it that way. But they do have a roof walk, and based on what John Otts told me, I painted them a barnwood with then a black wash.
DC, on the former 3 cars, were those trucks, those B&O trucks on the other 3 cars?
I'm trying to my screen is froze up.
No, you've got them on. You've got them on there now.
Oh, okay. Those trucks there, they came from Panamint Shapeways, and they actually. I'm
those
sorry?
are B&O boxcar trucks, the older ones.
Well, he makes 2 wheelbases, and these are the narrower ones. I actually had them on different cars and took them off those cars and put them on these cars because the other cars were a little bit bigger. So
they look good.
I hate drilling through resin cars. I'm not going to do that anymore.
Right over the center of each truck, what is that? On the car body.
right on the car body.
Yeah, there, yeah, what's that?
There would be truss rods running from side to side.
Ah, okay.
Okay, you'd have it so the trusses actually go from the side seals. It actually helps hold the car together for all the jostling and everything.
What was the average lifespan of a boxcar of this era?
Ooh.
Depends on the usage.
Good point.
Interesting.
I
question.
don't, I wouldn't guess.
And also, before we go too much further, on those first three cars, the flat cars that were converted, I didn't see any brakes. Did they not have brakes because they're so darn small? That one does, but see, these don't have any brakes.
Those ones there,
Yeah,
those are, those have been in project for at least a decade. And after last week's discussion, I dug them out of the drawer and took some cell phone photos so I could share with you guys. Because I like the idea. I got enough of the side frames to do 8 more cars.
Do you
And
plan
I-
on putting brake wheels on those?
I probably will end up putting brake wheels on them of some kind.
oh, okay.
How'd you do those rivets, or is that part of a casting?
That's part of the casting from the sidewalls of a MDC roundhouse Shorty flat car.
Damn, brother. You're fucking insane.
And because you glue on the okay,
Stake
what thank you, the stake pockets, you just place the stake pockets, you know, so that they made up with those.
Cool.
Now, would the brakes be on both sets of wheels, or would it be on only one set?
Probably only one set. But this is a fictionalized, these are fictionalized cars,
Gotcha.
right? And
And
my
their
group
primary
was gonna
function?
use- I'm sorry?
What's their primary function?
Being cool.
Moving barrels or sacks of barrels or of beer or sacks of flour, stuff like that.
Got it.
Barrels of rye whiskey
Rye whiskey, that's even
brought down
better.
from Pennsylvania.
Could very well be the case.
Well, you know, there's some small cars like that on a picture behind a locomotive in Culpeper. If you got to get the digitalized picture of it,
Yeah.
and you go in close, and there are a bunch of miniature cars back there. I thought they were pot hoppers at first, but then I realized they're like flat cars with some sort of siding on them.
Could
Actually,
be.
GC, the one on the right is not all that far removed from, I think it's in white, the B&O flower cars from the 1830s.
Right.
They were, yes, you're correct. They were smaller than these cars, though.
Ah, okay.
Okay, because Eric Cox again produced some of the B&O flower cars, and they are a smaller car. It's just, I wanted something different to run on the line eventually.
They look good.
Thank you, guys.
Fabulous, man.
Really awesome.
I'd like to turn it back over to Tom, if there are no more
Okay.
questions.
No mas?
I'm hitting, there we go.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you, TC.
That's
You're
just some
welcome.
fine work, brother. Fine work. All right. Yeah, I'll tell you what, I'm just gonna start sharing this screen. And I'll go from there. This is primarily an overview. Because most of the time, I would think nobody's gonna, or very few people are gonna do this. And if anybody wants to know, all you gotta do is talk to me and I'll give you things like drill bit sizes and blah, blah.
There we go.
Why is that? There you go, go away. One thing I wanted to point out is the drive shaft. You'll see what we've done. I've changed that for mostly to help disappear it. And this was later, probably late 50s, early 60s model, because you can see all the spokes are filled in. The earlier ones were really clean. And so this is the basic. And I'm going to walk you through some of the things I did as I go through the parts. Man, there's a bazillion parts on this. What's that?
Wow.
Well, yeah, and then, whoops, sorry. And then there's those. So you got steam valve rocker arms, whistle bell, horizontal pilot, next row down on the left, boiler stanchion, steam chest, lubricators, double link coupler toolbox, the long. And then you got tender toolboxes, you got the flag stanchions and the pilot drawbar, dram bar. Oh, geez, I was probably drinking too much. No. And then there's a whole bunch of things that get fabricated. So all in all, you're looking at about maybe close to 50 parts. Insane. You probably saw this in the beginning, or not in the beginning, but from a prior one where I just took the idea of that arched roof and made it from one of the general cabs. I just wanted to, again, man, when you find out the different variations that are possible, there's 2 more projects on the list. So nobody please say anything new that's going to change what I've done, please. All right. Here's some of the, and these are the electronic parts. Most of them are Soundtraxx. That one on the left, the current keeper, I just installed in 2 of the locomotives now, and they fit nice. It's tight, but they fit. And of course, there's the 1100 decoder, the cube speaker, and then in some of the earlier ones, I'm using the train control systems, KA4s, which are fabulous too. Great, great cube. This just shows you the electrical part configuration. One thing I wanted to point out is this, will you go out of the way here for a second? Yes, you will. The mini plugs are really handy. They're used in a couple of places on this, depending upon the complexity of the wiring that you're doing. And this is what they call a Swiss micron motor, which I've been trying to find a replacement for, because these things are at like 95 bucks a piece now with a $16 shipping charge. Nah, I don't think that'll do it. Let's see what else. Oh, here you can see the back of the pin, you know, where the other pin would insert to. You can see here that the coupler pocket, not the drive shaft pocket, I took a Northwest Short line, and this would allow me to put a narrower drive shaft in there to help disappear that clunkiness. You can see it's got its double link coupler pocket. The other cool tip I learned was from George, use of masking tape just to hold all that down. Boom, boom. Oh, okay. And here's the drive shaft that I made. Here's the ground globe that you saw in the original shot, and then it just cut off, drill a hole, piano wire, drill a hole in the male section for the Northwest Short line coupler pocket. I don't think they call it that though. And there she is, all prettied up and all packaged up, ready for whatever's next. You can see that pointer on the left. That's one of the plugs. One of those mini plugs are connected there. That's the power. This black wire here, that's connected to the headlight. And that's just its shadow. So it's not too bad in terms of the number of wires that got to go through. But all of this happened before you see any of this on the left. It was only later on I thought, you know what, I should put this in a different sequence. But the electrical stuff, I get going fairly early, so I don't have to mess with it after I've already started doing the final work.
Question,
Yo,
do you test from your locos before you do the rest of the work?
at a certain point, yeah, as soon as I can, I test it. As soon as I can. There's no need to move any further unless that's happening. Yep. So these are the wires from the headlight. Just some duct tape hold it in place. I don't know what the heck these things are called. They're on the sides of the boiler.
That's the
Somebody-
water pump?
Yeah, clack valves. Aren't they?
Plant,
Aren't they
plant.
the boiler feed valves?
Yeah,
Yeah.
check valve,
shake valves.
check valve.
Check.
Yeah. Oh, golly. God, you know what? I'll tell you.
AKA clackers.
Yes, yes. So there's a hole drilled in here to put, which you'll tell me in a minute, what I put in here that goes to something that's over here. I don't know these parts so well, guys. This is too much fun. Okay, next. So, moving into painting, this whole Russia iron conversation that keeps coming up is fascinating. So I was talking to Kenny Pruitt, a guy I met a bunch of years ago after I met Bogle. Bogle introduced me to him in a way. Kenny's in Michigan. He was building an HS scale layout back in the late 80s of the great locomotive chase. So he did a lot of pioneering work in his own way. And in his research, he met up with this fella up in Steamtown, I think it was, or Strasbourg rather. And he got into talking about Russia iron. So the fella sent him this piece on the left. That's an actual chip off the Russia iron canopy or whatever you call it that would go on the boiler. Like, interesting.
Jeez.
And notice the color. It's not blue. It's not even a light blue. And this is with no light on it. And I thought, let me try it with some light. And that's just from the bulb up above. And look how much difference that color changes just with that light. And then you got this one. These are the two same pieces, but you can see how there's so much fascinating conversation about what the color of Russian iron was. So when Kenny was telling about this, I thought, holy smoke, he said, the way he looks at it, it's like, he looks at it like if you think of a body of water and when the sun's hitting it or when it's not. And when you look in the water, it's always reflecting what's above or, what's not there.
It
And,
changes by time of day too.
Oh, there's so many factors, but I thought, wow, this is a very cool story.
Have you taken it outside on a bright sunny day to see if you get the blue reflection from the sky in it?
You do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's insane. So the true color, at least with Kenny, the conversation I had with Kenny, and David, I'd like to hear you weigh on this. He said it would have been more like a gunmetal color than a bluish color. Can you speak to that, David?
You referring to me?
Yep.
It would depend on the oil that was used at the time and how used the oil was. Some of it would finish the metals with brand new oil that would give it a blue tint. Some of
I'll
it would
be
use
dang.
waste oil and it'd give it a darker or blacker tint.
So it could actually be the same metal on two different pieces. It depends upon the oiling process that they
Yeah.
do.
Interesting.
Fascinating. Cool.
And that's
Wow.
also a good close-up of that check valve you were just talking about. Shows the ball valve, the pump up through the piping.
Yeah.
and into the
This is
check
what?
valve inside of
What
the
is this
boiler.
called?
That's a pump. That's the same thing as your injector on a later locomotive, but those were rod driven. So the engine had to move forward or back to get it to pump
Right.
water into the boiler.
Right.
And it pumps
So-
it right up in. Then the upper part up there on the side of the boiler, that's a check valve. It'll let the water inject into the front of the boiler, but then when it's not pumping, it won't let the water come back out of the boiler.
Well, it's pumping all the time, but you see that diagonal rod, that's activating a valve to shut it off. That's called the bypass. And there's a pipe that goes back into the tender because as long as the wheels are rolling, that pump is pumping.
Constant.
You talking about this here?
Yes. That
Oh.
there's a valve handle on the end of that, and you shut that off.
Right.
That shuts
Right.
off the feed into the boiler, but there's also a pipe that goes from the pump back into the tender. and
Right.
You short circuit the water back into the tender. It's called a bypass valve.
Dag-a-doo. Wow.
Yeah,
Okay, good.
I think a bypass valve, I believe, works the opposite. When you close it, you're closing
Yes,
the,
you're closing the feed to the boiler.
no, the feed to the back to the tender. Because the check valve is automatically keeping the pressure in one direction. So if you open up the valve, release the pressure to go into the tender, the check valve won't open. But when you close it,
if you have the valve to the tender shut, then that pump is always going to be pumping into the boiler.
Yes.
And if you have the boiler too full, that boiler is going to prime. And you're going to get water in your cylinders and you're going to crack a cylinder head, or you're going to run the risk of that.
Wow.
So you close the bypass valve, which closes off the feed to the clack valve, the boiler feed. By closing the bypass valve, the water has no place to go except in the pipe that runs back to the tender.
Cool.
Man, we should do a presentation on just how these things just operate. Okay, never mind. That was good. Thank you, gents. All right, so moving ahead. I was still, I did this before I had my conversation with Kenny. So I used this perfect Pontiac engine blue, which I thought was going to be Russia iron. The device on the right is a plug for Micro Marks airbrush. If anybody's not familiar with these, I would get one in a heartbeat. I mean, that's it. That's all you got right there. There's no wires, there's no cables, there's no machine. It's all right there, and it works fantastic. So I haven't airbrushed in like 3 years or 2 years. Anyhow, well worth it. What did I say here? Oh yeah, knowing when to paint. Yes, knowing when to paint. Come on, baby, move. There you go. And this kind of came up earlier when DC said, you know, when do I test run it? So I'm not, after I did the spray on the boiler, I was pretty much ready with the mechanism, the electronics and the tender. She's up and ready to go. But I started to figure I could start doing some of the painting. And you know, you can see the colors on the right that were used. One of the things I had to change was I attempted to do a angle on the cylinders, but I overshot it and the crossheads kept on dropping out. Damn. So I just had to shim this thing and put in a different one. Let's see.
That's a precision scale funnel, the chimney.
The stack?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yes, it is. That is. Yeah,
it's a nice looking stack.
it is. It is. I don't know if I think I might have a shot later because I had to cut a notch out of it for the headlamp.
it's a Radley Hunter style.
Mhm.
Very good. Very good. And this is something else. Like, so you think, do I paint first? Do I drill first? And it's just a judgment call. You know, where's more work? Most of the time I try to drill before I did any painting. Just so that after I painted it, I wouldn't mess it up when I was putting the damn part in.
Yeah.
So those are just some grab irons, and I think we got some glass in the windows on those.
Did you bend your own grab bars for those? Or,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
What do
So-
you use to do that, Tom?
Oh, again, Micro Mark. I should have showed a picture of them.
Oh, that their grab bar bending tool.
It's a series of pliers. There's like 4 of them or 5 of them, and
Okay.
some have a very tiny point on the end and it's rounded, and there's another one that's flat where it pinches and it's half rounded on the outside. Those are so great. I love them. You can have such accurate cut, you know, depending upon what you want to do. Yeah, I mean, most of you guys know this anyway, for cutting out decals, but what, you know, just something I could share with you is when cutting this out, a couple of times I cut the lengths, and when I'm cutting this by hand, it gets all floppy. So the first cut I make is anything that I have to do where I can't use a ruler. So everything's anchored. So that's just what that is. These are John Ott's wonderful decals. Thank you, John. At least with these Mantua tenders, because there's an upper and a lower decal. I did the flange first because I wanted to have the top edge. That would be the edge I worked off of. And of course, you all know Microset. All those Microset, Microsaw are fantastic. So one thing I discovered too is I would tend to wick the water away according to the micro product. And I found that sometimes the decal just adhered. And so I sometimes choose to leave it fairly wet, just so it's easy to manipulate and get the brush underneath like that.
Yeah.
And then you just wick whatever's left. Here's one of those toolboxes that I mentioned earlier that were for the tender. Let's see what else. Boom. Keep an eye on that white line there. You're going to see that again. Bingo. There it is, right on schedule. So when I was lining these up, and you can still see there's a fine white line up in here. I don't know what I did with that. I might try to paint it. But you can see this line here. Well, this white line went all the way along here, and it was just a matter of color matching really easily. And psh, boy, it was a piece. I guess what I appreciated most is anything that needed to be adjusted, it was reasonably easy. Here we are, close to final assembly. Thing I would point out here are the weights. This weight is one I believe that Al Mueller built for his conversions, and it's heavier than this. Of course, I notched this out because I want to put this Yahoo in as the engineer. Let's see what else. I think yeah, that's good. Okay, some of the details. Boiler stanchions, they come with a nice pin. You might have seen something I did a while back where I talked about extending the frame of the locomotive, because you can see this hole here. This is the added piece I put in front of the frame.
Right.
I did that because if you didn't, this end of the pilot, the cow catcher, would hit the metal wheels, because the General comes with plastic wheels. When you put metal wheels in it, shorts. So this would have to get cut off. I like, screw that. So I put that in. Now you could have a full piece. You don't have to worry about any shorting. That was a biggie there. That was fun. The stanchions. Oh, the other thing too is it allows you to use the whole stanchion. Otherwise, you had to cut half of this off almost. It was like, forget about it. What else? These were pretty cool. I think Rhett did this on one of his where he had double stanchions just to make a different handrail configuration. And there's the pump, and then there's the cutoff valve. No, what is it? Shit. Oh,
Check valve.
check valve. Oh, yes, thank you. I'm going to write that down. And there's the hand stanchions, or the handrails on the stanchions. Just like how they look. Vallejo played a big role in this. Even the brass straps are Vallejo paint. Oh, here you can see the notch in the hole where the stack is going to go. We just notched that out. Wires go in. This brass and filled in that hole so no light bled through. Oh, this is. I think I showed this too before, but this was just putting in the pilot drawbar. This I've done this 3 different ways. And on the new build, I didn't do it this way at all, but this is one of the ways you can do it. This was fun to figure out, although I probably did it before, but knowing where and where not to glue, because at times you might need to take these little babies apart. If you glue the two of the wrong things, you're screwed without breaking something. So I thought, okay, let me try this. So this is just and this is something new I tried to. I put a clevis pin in here. And just a piece of brass wire. Here's some flat brass and another piece of brass wire drilled in. And I had the cab on the body and had these lined up. And then I glued them. And I made sure they were in place. And then I just took it off. And so that's one of the several break points you got to be watching for. And there it is, just reassembled. Oh, the headlamp lens. You can see this clear styrene right around the light. Can you see it? There's the edge of it. So I was figuring, how do I get a cut of this? So I just put this underneath. Did the cut actually came out really good, and it's in. So here's the kick in the pants. There's these little glue stick, like they look like Q-tips, but they have a sticky end on one end. And I thought, let me use that to hold it in place. why I glued it in. And because I couldn't find this little cool plunger I had anyhow. So I put the glue in, put the lens on, and the sticky stuff from whatever that tip is wouldn't come off the freaking lens. So I pulled it out and I started cleaning it off, but it didn't work. I cut another one. All right, had it ready to go, and it flipped out of my tweezers, and it's alive and well somewhere over there. So this thing still doesn't have its lens yet. Here you go on the front end. You can see I did the anchor for the pilot drawbar differently. I just used a couple of pieces of styrene, drilled a rod through it, thinking that it would maybe minimize its left and right motion, which it does to some degree. So, you know, there that is.
Tom,
Yo,
if you measure, if you don't have a lens, if you measure it, do you have any idea? I've got a set of punches and I could bring you a lens out. I think the smallest I go is 3 millimeters.
I'll tell you what, I'll measure it and I'll let you know.
And let me know.
Yeah, 3 millimeters. Cool. That'd be fun. That'd be great. Thanks.
Hey, Tom, is the headlight round? It looks slightly oval to me.
I know it is deceiving. It is very slightly oval. Correct. Yep. Steam chest rocker arms. God, I love these little things. This is the steam chest lubricator, right? Is that right?
Correct. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Boiler. So this is kind of like the sequence that I put these on. One of the things I will go back to just for a second is when putting these in, this is a piece and the rocker's a piece. So there's 4 pieces. Sometimes the ends of the steam boxes need to be drilled out a little bit. And then it's a matter of, because this comes out. The cylinder piece can be removed. If you glue this to this and this to this, you know, you're kind of like in the pants again. So I decided to leave it unglued here because there's little pins that come off of these rods that slide right into the rockers. You can see the hole in that end. And now it's just a matter of just like sliding them out. Piece of cake. I like it. The other thing I did here, which I got from Rhett, was see the side rods? These are about 1/3 the actual size of when you see these like original. And it's just a matter of grinding them down. I know LeBron has done this as well. And the wheels I found in some kit, I don't know what it is, but they were spoked wheels. Let me try that. So I don't know where I got them, but I'd love to know so I could get another pair. If anybody knows, let me know.
Northwest Shoreline, I think, has spoked wheels, don't they? I'm not sure whether
You're
right.
probably right. You're probably right. So this pipe from from this valve to this pump, it's just it's a pipe, right? That's all they would call that?
Yeah. Feed pipe.
Feed pipe. Got it. What else? That's pretty much it there.
Tom, I think there is somebody who produces, at least I think it's for the Bachmann engines, a more prototypical thickness for the side rods.
Oh, really?
I don't know of anybody who does it for the Mantua Generals.
Right.
But if you're doing something with the Bachmann, I think they have a better one. I think I got some at some point, someplace.
Right. Right. Yeah.
You added a sandpipe also. I don't remember that at the beginning.
This?
The pipe that goes from that down to
Oh, yes. Thank you. I did drill that. The piping went in all about the same time, right after the rocker arms went in. But that's one of those times I took a risk. No, the holes were drilled in the base of the sand dome before that. That's right. And I drilled the hole through the walkway here as well for that ahead of time. I think that.
How did you align your stanchions? That's something I've done before, and I had to like say a prayer to the modeling gods that I got them aligned properly, because were the holes already drilled in the boiler?
Yes, the thing that I had to do is
that helped.
what I had to do at least is you can see the deck for the headlamp. I cut this off so this could fit in there because it covered half the hole. Bumpy. Yep, so that's pretty much where she's at right now, ready to roll on Saturday.
Nice.
The Georgia.
That's
The Georgia.
awesome.
Looks good.
Thank
Well
you.
done, Tom.
Yes.
Thank
Excellent.
you. I'm ready to do another one. If I could just find a motor. That's all I
Project number
need.
372.
What's that? Finding a motor? You know what? Finding a motor has been a project, for crying out loud. I've asked guys in my region, my club. It's unbelievable. Yep. So, gentlemen,
Well, on the finding question note, I'm trying to find 2 or 3 millimeter strap, like would be suitable for a boiler band in O gauge. And I haven't found it at KNS. I haven't found it on Amazon. Does anyone know where you might get just strap iron? Not literally iron, strap brass or
wow. I know
KNS
British-
is where I would go to.
I went to KNS and they didn't have anything down that small.
Have you tried maybe? So you're looking for something thinner
Yeah,
or narrower?
I need it to be about 1 millimeter thick and about 2 millimeters or 3 millimeters wide. I need to do some brackets for footsteps on some box
Have you-
cars.
Have you thought about getting a piece of brass, just sheet, and cutting it out of that?
Well, yeah, and I'm lazy, and if I can find the strap, that would,
You can't use styrene, Dan?
well, I don't think by the time you put I need to put a 90 in it, and by the time I put a 90-degree bend, I don't think I'm going to have the strength for you'd have the strength to put the footstep that I ultimately want to do, but I think bumping and, just the general wear and tear, the thing's going to snap off.
Yeah. Yep.
There's a company, Thomas and Betts, and they make electrical contacts and that might be a place to look. I don't know of anything in particular, but yeah, it's Thomas and Betts. Some scientific electrodes and contacts.
I'll give them a try. And Charlie, on grab irons, when Tom mentioned grab irons, and that's why I was asking about the Micromark. Micromark has a grab iron tool that sells for about $50. And I was like, I've been needing to make some grab irons lately in O gauge. And I didn't want to spend that sort of money. Can you see this?
Yeah.
This is just a plain old $7 saw gauge for a table saw. And I'm using that to make grab irons now, and it works fine. You just have to, it's not quite as you take your wire and you have to bend it, but it's a cheap workaround from a $50 device from Micromark.
Somebody makes a plastic jig for grab
Grab
irons.
irons.
Yeah.
Sam Lawn models.
Do they? Okay.
I think someone else made one too. I'm not sure if it was Northwest.
Very
Short Line.
innovative, Dan. Very innovative. I love it.
Hey, Dan, another thing you can do is take whatever thick, like Tichy train phosphor bronze wire and make a little 90-degree bend in one end. And then you just take a piece of styrene and you measure in from the edge of that to
A good idea.
and drill there. And then I've got I think it's an old Craftsman, flat pliers, so there's no teeth on it.
Right.
And so I hold the piece like this, and then I take the pliers, and this is this is the brass, if you can see here, the brass going
Right.
up and down, okay? And then I insert this end in the hole, slide the pliers up to here and hold it, and I can take it out and I just bend it that way.
You
On
know,
a piece of 1, 2, 3 blocks that I use.
you just, I had thought about taking like 3 lengths of brass rod, soldering them together, and then
Wow.
trying to fill them in, but that's like a lot of work. But I think you just, it doesn't matter for what I want to do. These are just footsteps, little, you know, like probably
Okay.
8 by 8. I could just take a brass, just a short length of brass rod, put that into the car body, and then glue a 2mm styrene strip on top of it. You'd never see the rod underneath. That would give me the support. And then the styrene strip on the car body wouldn't matter. That's just for looks. It's not gonna, and I think that would give me the structural strength that I need. That's a good idea.
Dan, I'm putting something on the chat right now.
All right, sir.
It is a website, okay?
Uh-huh.
I purchased brass strips. They're about 3 inches long. I believe you required a millimeter thickness. I'm looking at, and you get about 33 strips. And the overall kit is, what do they say here? Hell, I'm not sure what they say here, but this is a brass place that does very small brass strips.
Okay.
I was looking at them for making brass straps around the boilers.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, and let me see if I can share my screen. I just sent it into the chat.
Yeah.
Sorry about
Right,
the first
propmotorblock.com.
correct. You will want to look there. Let me
Okay.
share my screen here. Okay, is this gonna work? Yeah, great. Let's see here. Okay. No, that didn't do it, did it? Let me try
No.
again.
Not yet.
Let's see, do I have a share screen there? I have share content. Is that where I go?
There
How
should
about-
be a share screen at the bottom.
Well, I'm on the iPad today, and that's the problem.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know what I'm doing, so I'm not going to waste a lot of time with it. But that website is where you want to go to.
Thank you. I'll check it out.
Yeah, it says multi-scale parts for scratch building. Sounds like exactly what you're looking for.
You know, it had, I know in the UK, there are people that solder brass boiler bands onto boilers. It's just, there has to be someone that produces them. I just haven't been able to put my hands on who it is over here that does.
Well, this is made in the USA, so this is probably close at least to what you're looking for.
Okay. I'll give it a whirl.
Yeah, I found them on eBay, but it'd probably be better to go to the website.
Yeah, you get a little better deal.
Yeah.
Anybody here going to the meet in Memphis in October? Show of hands. DC, you're going. Oh, there you go. Roger, you're going to be there, right?
I would love to be there, but I will be in the middle of something that I cannot get away from.
Cool.
It's a professional thing. It's a theater competition that I have to deal with at that time.
Gotcha.
One of these years, I'm coming.
Yep. Anything to share, ask?
Tom, I'll probably be ready for that backdrop presentation.
Oh,
After,
excellent.
after May the 19th.
Far out. Great. I'll keep you posted. We'll
Yeah.
talk.
In fact, if at all possible, sometime between there and June to make sure I get it in, because my wife and I probably will move on to Connecticut pretty as early as I can in June.
Got it. Okay, so sometime end of May for you.
Yeah,
or-
late, like the 19th to, well, beyond the 19th, not the 18th, but beyond the
Okay.
19th, I'll be in good shape.
Sounds good. That's excellent. Let's see. Okay. Charlie or DC, was there anything else I wanted to say that I might have forgot about?
So anybody else wants to come to the operating session on Saturday?
Well, Charlie said he'd come up if the grandkids weren't around, but you know, that's,
I just turned 4 on back in about 5 minutes before this meeting started with this.
you turn the back in, like,
Uh,
wow, brother.
I haven't heard from Lee Miller about, a field trip to Forts Henry and Donaldson.
Right.
So I'll write him again and see if I can smoke him out on that. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he's done it before. But
Yeah, that's okay if he hasn't. I'm sure we'll be, if anybody knows anybody, he will.
yeah.
Yeah. And then, and I'll catch up with, are you around tomorrow, or what's a good time between now and Monday to connect with each other?
Yeah. Probably late tomorrow afternoon.
Cool. I'll give you a shout.
Okay.
Good. All right, guys. Maybe, you know what, DC, maybe we'll videotape the ops session.
Oh, that'd be a good idea.
We have all hands on deck on this one. We'll see. All right, guys. All the best to you. Thank you for showing up. And
Thank you for
see
sharing,
you next
Tom.
Thanks,
time.
Tom.
Awesome.
Great job, John.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks for sharing, Tom and DC.
Thanks for the
Oh.
tip, Roger.
Most
Absolutely.
welcome, Ed. It was
That's
fun.
what we're here for, right?
Yeah.
Here you go.
Each one teach one.
Yeah, I'm figuring there's probably a way I'll be able to break away and just take some video here and there. It's going to be very loose. I was telling, I sent an email to you guys.
I read that.
Yeah, the only thing I want people to do is sign the sheet so I know who ran that, and then notations of time, if you can think of it, because I'm trying to get a sense of how long does it take this section
Right.
of the operation to occur.
Right, okay.
So, I'll put the clocks up, however you want to do it. That's it. And then go to it. It should be a hoot.
Yeah, if y'all could record it so the rest of us could see it, that'd be great.
Yeah, I'll think of a way to do that.
Yep.
Yeah.
And when we get a railroad running down here, I want you guys to come down and visit with us and take a ride on the narrow gauge with us.
Ah, dag, boy. Yeah.
That'd be
that's for
great.
real.
That
Oh,
sounds great, David.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'd love to have you.
Yeah.
So,
Tom, I just checked my disc cutters and 3 millimeters is the smallest I go.
3 millimeter.
Yeah. Although, you know what? Measure it anyway, because I grew up on a farm and we had a hole punch for lead.
Yes.
For like, you need to like put holes in a harness for the horses or whatever.
Right.
I've got one and it's got rotating things. I've got one of those and it may go smaller than 3 millimeters. So go ahead and measure it anyway and I'll see what I can do.
I'm absolutely gonna do that.
Hey, Tom, give me a heads up, 'cause I may have some, Dan, you just got me thinking. I may have something like that downstairs.
Really?
Yeah,
Have you
I
stopped
may.
recording? Tom, have you stopped recording?
Oh. DC's supposed to remind me of that.
Tom, have you stopped